Good afternoon. I am Phoebe Murray with NBC 15 here. We're following some breaking news out of Whitewater, where police say that a man who is considered armed and possibly dangerous is on the run. Police say he held a woman against her will for days. We have NBC 15's Tim Elliott joining us now from the scene. And Tim, this all started late last night as authorities responded to a call with a woman asking for help. Tell us more.
Just before 10:30 last night here on the 300 block of Janesville Street in Whitewater, kind of the main drag that goes through Whitewater, really not far from the UW Whitewater campus either. But you can see here behind me, this is the garage that is sitting behind the home in question here. This garage, you can see the garage door has been torn to shreds. That's because when authorities got here on the scene, they thought their suspect might have been holed up in here armed with a gun. And so they tore the garage off. They went inside, made entry into the garage, and found out pretty quick that the suspect was actually not inside this garage and he was likely long gone. So they showed up here just before 10:30, around 10:30 last night, and I'm told by a neighbor that the garage being pulled off of, the garage door being pulled off of the building here happened around 4 this morning. So between 10:30 and 4 a.m., the suspect could have made his way to who knows where between that time frame. But I spoke with the police chief here in Whitewater, Dan Meyer. He tells me that the 18-year-old suspect, his name is Jefferson Guzman Rodriguez. He lives here in Whitewater. He was actually staying inside this home, living there. And the woman that he was accused of holding against her will is an acquaintance of the suspect. The police chief would not detail their relationship. He says they're still looking into it. But he says that the suspect was holding her for 2 to 3 days inside this home against her will, and at one point pointed a gun against her head. So authorities right now, their main objective is to find this suspect because, like you said, Phoebe, he could be armed and dangerous at this time.
And Tim, we've been able to keep this mug photo that we've received from police up on the screen while you were talking about this, but you have been on the ground since about 8 a.m. this morning in Whitewater talking to neighbors. What is the atmosphere like there? Because it must be pretty unsettling.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're not far from the UW Whitewater campus, so there's a lot of student housing around in this area. I spoke with a couple of students here who go to UW Whitewater, one of whom looked out his window this morning when he heard all the commotion, all the law enforcement vehicles parked essentially right outside of his window, and he heard the garage door being torn off of this garage here behind me. So yeah, it's definitely unsettling for a lot of these neighbors here, especially since as I mentioned, I spoke to the police chief who says that this suspect is known to police. Just last week, a week ago today, the suspect was arrested for trying to break into a home. He was arrested for disorderly conduct and consumption of alcohol, being an underage person. So again, this suspect known to police, and authorities here in Whitewater want to know where he's at, as do the neighbors and residents here in Whitewater, because you're right, it is very unsettling to have someone who's capable of being accused of something like this inside this home being at large at the moment.
Alrighty, Tim, thank you. We appreciate your time and your reporting out in Whitewater. We will be sure to check back in, and we're going to be bringing you the latest updates both on air and online as we find them. Again, as Tim mentioned, police are asking that if you do see this man, this 18-year-old, not to approach him, but to let authorities know. Again, he is still at large right now as we speak. This has been days in the works, but the police are just now coming into us. This is still a developing story, so be sure to stick with us. We will have live updates for you in all of our newscasts throughout the day, but that is it for now. Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about this story, go ahead and head to NBC15.com.